Hello everyone, and welcome back to Endless Space 2. I'm Melodic Oak, and this should be episode 2 of this ongoing series, unless I've decided to split it up into shorter segments. I don't think I'm going to. I don't like short-form content. I don't like viewing it, so I don't know why I would make it. Well, that's not true. It's not that I don't watch short-form content, but, I mean, who doesn't prefer to have their videos in hour-long chunks rather than, 10 or 20-minute ones? Let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. So anyway, here we are back playing as the Vultures, and making our decisions about what we're to colonize next, what to do next, who to destroy. Okay, well, we're not quite there yet in the game, but we will be soon. Delicious water and coffee. All right, so the Argosy is ready for deployment. So this is great. This means that our Argosy is recharged, and we can select it here, and then click on this button to create a new fleet, and bam. Now they're undocked and ready to fly around again. But what's this? It's going to take 12 turns for us to get our next free colonization. It's going to cost us how much dust? Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's going to cost you that much dust, titanium, and hyperium to colonize before that countdown timer is done. Now, that stinks, right? That's awful. That's horrible. Why would you ever play the Vultures? Well, fun fact, that cost is going to go down with every turn that passes by. So we're going to go ahead and, since this is a pretty safe system to fly them to, we're going to go ahead and do that for now and just have them hang out in this system. We'll go ahead and put them on sleep mode, and we'll just keep them there, and that's definitely going to be the next system we grab. And we're not getting any titanium right now. We're going to be fixing that soon, and I'll show you how. Don't worry. So, okay, so that's a normal message to get the turn after someone's discovered the academy. It will level up slowly, and that means that all heroes throughout the galaxy that people recruit will start at that new level. So it'll kind of go up as the game goes on. And that's kind of to balance it, so you don't get like a level 1 hero like on turn 100 or whatever. Oh, and I should also talk about this little thing. It's going to pop up pretty much each turn that any construction is complete, and it'll tell you what's completed and what's next on the queue. So in New Home, we finished, as you can see, our drone networks, and now it's going to be building the Cerebral Reality, which is going to take us 2 turns to finish. Now, that's down from how long it said it was going to take, isn't it? It's because drone networks is giving us 10 industry and 10 food each turn. So that's going to be helping us out with that. It's going to help us grow faster and build faster, which are both good things, at least right now. Sorry about my sniffles, by the way, if that was bothering you last episode. I apologize. It is just the turn of fall here in Washington State, and I don't usually suffer from allergies, so it's not really that. It's more just like just change in temperature and humidity and everything that gets to me. Ugh. Anyway, so where do we want to send our fairing? I guess down this way. It's going to take him quite some time to get down here, but oh, right, I was going to talk about this. So this is a constellation. See? You can see it all here if we hover over this. See how it's making that blink? That means that's one constellation. In fact, it might even encompass more star systems we can't see yet. But yeah, so this is the Musca constellation. There's no owner. We need to control at least 3 systems in it to own the constellation and claim the control bonus. If we have it, that means all systems that we have inside that constellation will get plus 15% extra dust. That's awesome. We want that. And that required number of systems will go up if other people start to grab systems in that constellation. Again, it's one of those little things in Endless Space where you don't have to, especially as a new player, you don't really have to be paying attention to this all the time. If there's a better system in another constellation that you'd rather have, you know, rather than getting another less worthwhile one in here just to get the bonus, then go get that other one. You know, it's not the end of the world if you do or don't have this bonus. It's just nice to have. All those little bonuses stack up at the end of the day, so it can be a good thing. So here we found another special node, a solar nebula, which will give us extra dust if we encompass it with another system. We might own the Taurus system here eventually and be able to do that. But because you reach the end of this, there's no other star lanes for us to go down. We're going to go ahead and send out some probes here, and just see what they can see, you know? Yeah, that's just us. Look at that art. I love it. And yeah, and with that, we're just going to go ahead and hit enter, because something very important is going to happen on this turn. We're going to research X atmospheric filtration, which gets us a few things. We can now colonize ash planets. We can now build an approval called the Luxuries Lottery. It's a very expensive improvement, but it helps with approval. And finally, we can build a unique improvement, which means we can only have one of this improvement per empire. It's called filter barges. And it's very, very useful for the Vaulters, because just having it gets us an extra titanium and Hyperium every single turn. It, however, is quite expensive. Takes a lot to build industry-wise, and its upkeep is 16 whopping dust each turn. It's going to take us 18 turns to build, which means building it right now is not a great idea. However, and I know we keep on pushing this ahead, but that's kind of how it goes for a while, because industry is so important early game. We're going to unqueue it up there. I know it says 23 turns right now. That is going to go down. And as for our next science, because you can see it says no research queued, if we click on this, you'll see we have science surplus. That's our science that's sort of left over from our last completed research, because we had nothing else queued. Now that's quite all right. See, it saves up, and it will be put towards the next thing we choose. So that's awesome. We're making 86 science a turn. We have 28 stacked over. And as you can see, it says you can surplus store up to 2 times your max science per turn. So we could theoretically go another turn without having any research and stack it up again, but there's no point in doing that. We want to pick something. And that next something is almost certainly going to be a technology that gets us the ability to colonize another type of planet. All these little flags show you, as you can see, what type of a planet you can colonize if you do that. Also, give me 1 second here. Quick little break here to check something. All right, my deepest apologies. I just had to go there for a quick second and make sure that I didn't totally and completely screw up my recording, which I have a tendency to do sometimes. I'm not recordings, but I mean just in general, I tend to screw things up. Where were we? Oh, right, technology. So we are going to queue something up. I also want to talk about this. So there's 2 really common things you're going to see over here in the little notifications area each turn. One is the construction completed one, which we talked about, and this one is population gained. Very common one to see. This just tells us we've gained another Vaulters population on New Home. You can click on it to go there, and you can see, oh, we have another population on this planet. We're getting close to this red line. What does that mean? If you hover over this, it'll tell you population that goes like over the normal population limit into the red, means you're kind of getting overcrowded on that planet. You know, it's not going to be comfortable living for everyone there. And so that's going to start hurting your approval rating. Right now, we're good on approval because we're having a golden age. This is something unique to the Vaulters. Whenever you get a new system, you get a golden age. And we will talk about that some more. Like, the longer you wait in between colonizing new systems, the more this stacks up to a maximum number of turns. You get a golden age. It affects your empire. It's great. That's pretty much about how far it goes. It's pretty simple. But it is a Vaulter specific thing, so it's not super important to talk about it right now. Right here. Plus, I basically told you everything you need to know about it. The longer you wait to colonize, the more this charges up, and then the longer your next golden age will last. And golden age basically just gets you extra Fidzy, right? And also gets you, you can just see it here, plus 25 extra Fids, or Fids. It technically doesn't give you influence. An extra approval, or it actually does give you plus 5 influence on system. Anyway, but it gives you a bunch of extra stuff while it's going on. Basically, it's all you have to remember. Approval being probably the most important part of that to take into account as you play the game. So, okay. We have all this going. We have everything queued up here. So science is the next big important thing. So we need to take a look at what planet types we have in the system we have here. We have Savannah and Lava. Since we have 2 Savannah planets, it makes sense that we get the next tech to be able to colonize Savannah planets, particularly because one of them here is so amazing. This one. And this one also has much better industry, which would help us with getting, see, this one, 1 industry per population. This one, 4 industry per population. 3. So yeah, so this one is going to help us get that filter bar just that much faster. So why don't we work towards that Savannah planet? How do we do that? Well, we can go ahead and hover over a bunch of these right here, right? These little flags. Those are technologies that are going to get you new planet types that you can colonize, right? So we can just do that, or we could do this. You can search, type in Savannah. This one, you can zoom out. You'll see, oh, look, it's pinging. That means that my search query shows me that, yes, this is the tech that's going to get us the colonize Savannah capability. So Artigan shielding is what we want. It's going to get us a couple of things once we research it. It's going to get us Savannah planets. Advanced scanners, which will allow us to have expeditions on level 2 curiosities and see, but not explore, level 3 curiosities. And it's going to get us one of the most important techs in the game, basic fold drives, which is going to give us free movement, which means that our ships are going to be able to move independent of star lanes, which is a big deal. However, they'll be moving very slowly if they're not moving on a star lane, so truth be told, you're going to be using star lanes the majority of the game regardless. But it's still a super helpful tech, and we're going to go ahead and grab it. It's only going to take us 3 turns. So let's keep everything moving here. You're still moving that way. We're going to get you moving this way. And yeah, we're all set there. So we're going to click on next turn. Oh, you know what I should have done last turn, but I didn't. That's okay. We're kind of saving up influence anyway. Let's go into our law screen, because we can afford to start another law. In fact, we're going to immediately get this one going. I should have done this a little bit earlier, but I was kind of getting distracted talking about other things. Don't kick yourself too much if you're a little late on something like this. Even early game, you know, all that influence does stack up. And chances are we're going to go into the negatives there eventually and need some surplus anyway. So again, not the end of the world. So what does this do? This makes it, this reduces the improvement cost for system improvements by 10%, the industry cost. So all these improvements that we're building, right, are going to take 10% less industry to build. So that went from 25 to 20 just by picking that. It's pretty amazing. Or not 25, 26, plus 1, plus... I didn't get us any industry. Huh. Okay, well, it got us a bunch... words. Slow down. Sorry, I'm thinking about 12 things at once here. Yeah, it's going to help us build our improvements faster, which is really good. So our hero is still going around and exploring here. If we click on them, we'll see something. You actually hover over them. You'll see level 1 over there on the left. You see that little ring around it? That's how many experience points we have towards level 2. The more our hero flies around and does stuff, the more experience they're going to gain. Now, I believe they just also gain experience just gradually, just passively, no matter what, as long as they have an assignment, like as in they're in a fleet, a ship, or on a planet, or system, excuse me. But doing stuff is going to help that experience. So if we pop curiosities, for example, it's going to get them experience points. So here we found some more dark glitter. There's a lot of that around this area of space. You see how that went up? Like one more curiosity pop and she's going to level up to level 2. So this is why having her like explore and stuff is super helpful for us. So here's Kionos, this system. And if we click on them, we haven't done this yet, this minor civilization, the pilgrims. If we click on them, you'll be able to see some information about them. You can read the flavor. Really, I've always thought this should be a little bit bigger because you have to scroll. It's very bizarre how they chose to do that, but you can read about them here, see their cool artwork there, and this shows you how much they like you and what they're giving you based on how much they like you, and then their traits, what you can kind of expect from them, and then finally, if you get their population in your empire, this is what their population is going to have. So you remember when we looked at our population and you hovered over them, you can see that each of our vultures is giving us +1 science. Well, guess what? Guess what? They would be giving us +2 and an extra +3 on top of that if they're on a planet with an anomaly. Holy... what the what? Am I right? 5 science for 1 population? We want these guys in our empire. But how do we get them? Well, there's a couple of ways. First of all, if their system had any signal curiosities, popping those might get us some of their population to come over. They don't. That's fine. And also just signals in general. When you pop them, there's a pretty high chance you're going to get like a random kind of population that will then fly over, taking a long time, and then get to your home system, and you'll have some of their pop, which is great. We don't have that, so what we need to do is we need to either conquer them by declaring war on them, or we need to get them to like us enough to the point where this unlocks assist. And once we have that and the technology that we're missing, agribusiness, which you need to do pretty much, well, anything friendly with them, we'll be able to spend some dust and assist them. We'll get a little mini quest, and if we can complete it within the turn limit, we will assimilate them, and they will become literally part of our empire. This whole system will just become ours, which is amazing. There are a couple of ways to get them to like us. So first of all, just by knowing them, relations are going to get better over time. +1 per turn, which is very small, because it's gonna take a lot to fill this up. We can praise them as well, but we need a tech to do that, and it's going to cost us influence. But what else can we do? We can explore curiosities in their system, and they will thank us for revealing those to them. Ooh, so this one gave us a new tech, honeycomb scope. So there's some curiosities throughout the galaxy with unique, or when I say unique, you can actually build multiples of them a lot of the time, not all the time, but unique in that no one else will ever be able to get the honeycomb scope now unless I give them the technology or reveal it to them. Isn't that amazing? That's really cool how that works. Unfortunately, it's only sort of a partially useful tech, but there are some really good ones you can find. So exploring the galaxy quick and early on is pretty important. So we've done that, and if we go into this screen, you can see +2 per turn because we revealed a curiosity. So, and you can see that little, just barely see that little glowing sliver there. That's how much relation we're gonna gain in 1 turn. Coffee. So yeah, as you can see, it's gonna take a long time, but don't worry, we're gonna be speeding that up. We're going to go ahead and continue flying out here to explore more of the galaxy. Let me see here. Yeah, and also above the system, I'm sure you already noticed this, but you can see some handy information here. I talked about these last time, but above this you can see how much population there is. You can hover over that to get a nifty little card there on the left that tells you all the information you need to know. In 4 turns, we're going to get a new Sisters of Mercy pop. +61 system growth, current stock, that's manpower, 90 out of 300 maximum. Let's see, and then the FIDSI there, you can get all that information, what kinds of resources are there and how much you're getting and how much you can get. See, we're getting 1 out of 2 deposits, which means we're getting +2 dark glitter per turn out of a possible maximum +4. This is our home system. We own it. We are currently having a golden age. And this is what's next in our construction queue. We can just click on that and it'll bring us straight there, which is really handy. So that's all that information. It's pretty useful. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and click on end turn and keep this game a-moving. All right, we got Aurigan shielding, which is amazing. That's going to allow us, and you can see a couple of these just lit up because we can now colonize Savannah planets, which is amazing. And it's amazing for a couple of reasons. So you see what we're getting here. We're getting Xeno Industrial Infrastructure. Now go ahead and read what that does. +10 industry per planet, per temperate, and per fertile. So right off the bat, that's going to be getting us 20 extra industry. 1 planet, and it's fertile. So right away, it's going to be getting us a nice little bonus in 3 turns. These are both temperate planets. These are going to be an extra +20 industry each just by having them. So we're going to want to queue them up. And we're gonna go ahead and do that. Is it, which one? It's Alt, isn't it? No, it's not. I could have sworn it was. Maybe you can't do it with that. You can only do it with that. That's weird. Okay, I learned something new today. When you're queuing up stuff, you can hold down left Alt and click, and it'll put it to the top of the queue instead of the bottom. It's pretty helpful. Apparently it doesn't work with planets. I never realized that for some reason. But anyway, you go ahead and click on this to queue them up. We want to colonize both of them, so we're going to get them into the queue, and we're going to move them to just below Xeno Industrial Infrastructure. And you might think, oh, that's adding turns onto filter barges. It's actually going to be taking away turns in the long run, and you'll see what I mean. A, because it's going to get us more industry, and B, because we're going to be moving population over there for the extra industrial production. So don't worry, you'll see once we start doing it, it's going to make perfect sense. Another minor civilization. Oh, the Yusho. So these guys are a little bit warlike, but they're honor bound. It's interesting. So we'll probably go ahead and see if we can maybe become friends with them as well. If I'm being perfectly honest, the Vultures really benefit. If you're playing the Vultures, I don't know what faction, what empire. I'm sorry, that was an absurdly loud sip. I don't know, what faction you're going to choose to play at first, but the Vultures really benefit from making friends with minor factions early on. Because they have trouble quickly expanding early game, this can be a great way to help with that. So, as you can see, they're militarists. They're going to get us extra manpower. That's what that is. And they especially like sterile planets. Unfortunately, we don't have any of those, but, that's fine for now. Don't worry about it. They have a pretty lush-looking system, which is kind of ironic, given their love of sterile planets. But as you can see, there's a ton of curiosities here. And we can pop a bunch of these. You can see the type by hovering over it. If you see ruins or signals, I highly recommend popping those first. They can contain extremely valuable stuff. Now we have enough probes, we can just pop all of them this turn. That's fine. Plus 25 influence. There's some red sang, an abundant deposit of red sang on that planet. We got some experience points for our current ships, and this one was a dud. You can get expedition failures. That's nothing. You did nothing wrong on your part. It just means that it was kind of a red herring. Nothing was there. So nothing gained, nothing ventured. Nothing lost technically either. So don't worry about it. See what I was talking about? There's a signal right there, so we're definitely gonna pop that and see what we got. A positron, star wreck. Oh, we have a new ship. We found a wrecked ship, and now it's ours. Now, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the wrecked ships you find in this game are garbage, but finding them early on can be really helpful, because it's like early defense. We're only on turn 9, but wait until about turn 20, and a lot of these systems are going to start, these pirate bases are going to start popping up, which can be quite dangerous. And you can mitigate this in a number of ways, but one of the best things to do is just honestly to be ready for it, just to have some ships that can help defend you. And finding shipwrecks, good way to do that. You can see our hero leveled up. She is now level 2, so we can click on assign skills and see what she has here. These are her ring 1 skills, and just like with the tech tree, as you grab more of these, you'll be able to get more from outer rings and so on. However, the only difference is you don't have to get them from a specific ring to get more from that ring. You can pick any of them, and once you get a certain number, then you can get skills from the next ring and so on. This is a super helpful one. This is Resource Scrounger. This is kind of like a free version of that filter barge. It's going to get us half of a titanium and half of a Hyperium every single turn when she's assigned on a system. We're going to go ahead and get that. She's not assigned on a system now. I realize that, but it's as simple as doing this. We can't do that because she needs to be orbiting a star system, so we're going to wait for her to get there first. But next turn, we're going to see about getting that ball rolling. Yeah, this is from meeting the Yusho. We need to queue up a new research as well. What do we want to get next? Well, we have plenty of building queue, so getting something that isn't necessarily that would be quite helpful. We're eventually going to want plasma metallurgy. I don't know if we want it now. Sorry for scrolling around so quick. Just kind of thinking on the run here. One of the reasons I'm taking a while to think about this is I'm half thinking about what's a good choice, and I'm half thinking about what I should pick for the sake of this Let's Play so I can kind of showcase stuff and explain things. We're going to go ahead and take off-world agribusiness so that we can start doing diplomatic stuff with major and minor civs. Empires, excuse me. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take that. I think that's going to be a good choice. So, alright, next turn. We are on turn 10. So this is a cooperative quest. What is a cooperative quest? Well, it's a quest that technically... Sorry about the background sounds there. That is my chair squeaking. A background quest is one that everyone in the game, all major civilizations or empires, are taking part in. As you can see participants, and if you scroll, you'll see everyone is taking part in this. All 6. And there are rewards for depending on who comes in first, second, and everyone else. And it's unlocking 13 technologies in the military quadrant, in the tech tree, that top quadrant. And once 13 techs have been unlocked, it doesn't matter, you know, what combination and from who. Once 13 total have been unlocked, this quest will be done, and everyone will be able to get behemoth technology. That's what that is. They're a crashed behemoth. They are crazy. The scale of that is, I don't know if that's correct or not, but anyway, it's really cool. Behemoths are terrifying, and you're going to see why before too terribly long. See, I told you. So, okay, we're almost positive that this color, this green color, is Lumeris now. So, we'll meet them eventually, the frog people that love money. Ooh, new system. Mael. Let's see what this is. We got a medium forest here and a small baron. That's a pretty meh system. So systems, well, I mean, there's some Hyperium here, an abundant deposit as well. Oh, so this is an event. So yeah, as you explore the galaxy, events can happen, and they're usually pretty darn cool. They're definitely worth reading about. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you recognize them, you know, once you've played like 10 or 20 games, but one of the planets on this system is tidally locked with its star. That means, well, you know, one side of it is always facing the star. One of its, kind of like the moon around Earth, one of its hemispheres is constantly bathed in light. Some long-gone civilization, probably the Endless, apparently used the planet as an enormous farm. Now lush jungle grows over neat, barely recognizable rows of food crops. What does this do? Well, it gets us +1 food per population on our whole empire for 20 turns. Not that amazing early game, but I mean, hey, it's still pretty cool. We have some movement points left, so we're gonna go and move this way. Another system. Planet hosts an outpost of another empire. Looks like we're getting close to meeting somebody else, huh? Huge desert with polar tempest, metallic waters. Looks really cool. By the way, Anatov rings, so you can see Antonov, excuse me, and Ice 10 anomaly. So you can see this stuff. These anomalies, you can actually visually see them on the planet graphic. I love that. I think it's so cool. So this system's okay. Someone else is going to own it in 36 turns. That's a lot of turns. Holy moly. Who has taken that long? I mean, normally outposts will take like a maximum of 20 turns and you can speed it up, but 36 turns. Well, we can see who it is as well. So if you click up here on this little handshake or press F8, you can see the Empire screen and we can see who it is. It's the Hiso. We haven't actually technically met them yet. We've seen them, but they haven't seen us, right? So we can introduce ourselves if we want to. They are very warlike, and the sooner they know us, the sooner they're going to want to do stuff to us. Bad stuff. And so we might wait on that. You can also see that they have some pressure on us. See, pressure trend -0.6. That's coming from score difference. So they have more points than us. So they're putting more pressure on us, which isn't great. But that is going to change here pretty soon. So don't worry too much about that. Now we're going to go ahead and keep our positron here. And to do that, we're just going to click on this little fleet action called guard. And that'll make them kind of barricade the system. And they will, if any hostile fleets come through that system, they will automatically be stopped in that system and we'll get an option to attack them, which is quite nice. It also protects the system from being sieged or from being attacked on the ground, which is pretty helpful. All right, you're here. We're going to go ahead and use your probe to pop another curiosity. We'll go ahead and get the subterranean since those are so important to us. Ooh, titanium. That's awesome. Poor deposit, but it doesn't matter what class of deposit it is, poor, average, or abundant, you're always going to get 5 just from finding it, which is obviously helpful for us. All right, so now that we're now that she's kind of run her course in exploration right now, and we could use her here, we're going to go ahead and do that and assign her to this system. Bam! So now she's not in her ship anymore. You can see it's disappeared from here, and she's now in this system instead. Don't worry, she's kept all the upgrades that we gave her ship, right? So if we ever reassign her to her ship, it's going to be exactly the same as it was. So nothing's wasted there. But now she's on this system. She's here. So she's going to gain experience every turn just from doing basic stuff, right? Participating in a governing star system. So just by being assigned here, she's going to be gaining experience each turn. It's like 5 or 10 experience each turn, I think. I don't know if it's affected by other things. I've never really paid that close attention to it to know. But just know that having her assigned and just playing the game, she's going to get experience. So you don't have to worry about that too much. We can actually do this now. It's a tier 2 curiosity, but we actually have access to those now. So we're probably going to want to pop that here. So now that she's here, she's going to be speeding up our industry. Well, actually not yet, but once we have these planets, she is, because she's plus 10 industry per owned planet with an anomaly, per anomaly on colonized planets. So that's going to be quite nice. So getting these planets is going to get us even more industry now. So you can kind of see why I'm stacking stuff the way I am. We're going to be getting a lot of industry here very soon. But in addition to that, she's now getting us 0.5 titanium and 0.5 hyperium just by existing, which is amazing. If we go back over here, you'll see the cost of early colonization has gone down by quite a bit, which is fantastic. It's gone from 18 titanium and hyperium to 12, and the dust is now under 1,000. That's pretty great. We're still a little ways off from being able to colonize, but we're going to want to as soon as possible. Why? Our golden age duration is capped at 15 turns, and that's done charging. So really, the sooner we can pop this colonization, the better for us in the long term. We're not wasting any potential. We're just going to go ahead and end turn. And go ahead and advance our ships. We have met them because we just flew into the system. Right. So we can click on show location, and that will take us to where that meeting just happened, here. And now we can do certain diplomatic things with them. We can also read about them here if you want to. So you kind of know who you're dealing with. They're reserved Cold War, which means we can technically fight them, but we don't really want to. We don't really have a reason to. Especially early on in the game like this, there's very little reason to piss off an empire. So I really don't recommend doing it. Empires, if you see, watch this. We can't afford it right now, but if I click on peace, they're really not going to like that idea. Why? For a couple of reasons. We just met them, they don't know if they can trust us, and they're stronger than us. So they don't really have a reason to get a peace treaty with us. We can make it more enticing, right? We can throw Empire dust that way. Like, if you watch, oh, they like that. If we gave them 467 dust, ooh, they might actually take that peace offer. But what's this? We can't afford it. Sorry, that was a very loud but. I kind of shouted that. Would cost us 152 influence. We only have 135. Doing any diplomatic stuff costs you influence. So that's another reason that having a surplus is quite useful. So another reason why it wasn't the end of the world that it took us a few turns to get this. I mean, really, for the Volters, getting this going as early as possible is nice. But, you know, we only have +3 right now. And that's going to be going down the more pop we have. Laws cost more per turn, more influence per turn. See, laws upkeep for every population you have. So we're going to need improvements or planets, special planets and such, that are going to get us more influence. Don't worry. We're not in the red yet, so we are perfectly fine. We're also going to be needing more dust. That's usually how it goes in the start of the game, though. It's like, I need more everything right now. So it's kind of important to focus first. Like, as you might notice, I'm really going for industry first, and then once we're done with industry, we're probably going to delve a lot into dust, and then influence, and then probably into science, and then kind of into military, and we're going to expand from there. And yeah, focus is really important for Endless Space. If you try to go for a little bit of everything, you're not going to be, well, I'm not going to say you're not going to be playing well, because that's not true, but it's really important in Endless Space to have a focus at any given time based on what's happening in the game. You know, eventually by about turn 50 or 60, you're going to want to know what victory type you're going for. These are the different victory types. It's pretty standard 4x fair. You can win if you hit the turn limit, which is 300 by default. And whoever has the highest score wins. You can win by controlling everyone else's home systems, you know, conquering them. You can win by building certain wonders, the obelisks of space-time. You can win by getting to certain technologies on the tech tree. You can win by literally buying the galaxy. You have to make a lot of dust to do that. And finally, you can win by controlling a ton of star systems. That's pretty hard to do. They're all pretty hard to do, but that's the point. By the way, if you're wondering what the screen is, it's right here, or pressing F1 will bring this up. It'll show you all of your systems. You can also click over here to see the victory stuff. As you can see, score-wise, we're doing very poorly. Again, that is not uncommon, particularly with the Vaulters early on. You can also see your overall Empire approval and how many systems we can have before people start to get more upset. That number will go up as the game goes on. Don't worry. It's just to keep people from abusing the system and somehow breaking the game by colonizing everything too quickly. Now here's the thing about curiosities and other people's systems. So this person is probably going to own this system, right? Popping these curiosities will get us stuff, but it's also going to reveal them and allow them to take advantage of whatever those things are for free. We're basically going to be helping them, and we don't really want to do that. However, signals and ruins rarely give permanent helpful bonuses to a planet. Usually it's just an instant reward. So honestly, popping signals and ruins from under another empire's nose is actually good. So I would recommend just popping those. Oh, that one was actually a failure, but we are going to pop that signal next turn. So yeah, we're actually going to keep you here, and we'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and go with next turn. Okay, so now we can interact with minor factions. So as you can see, we can now praise them. It costs 40 influence, and if we click on it, watch this, +2 per turn, goes up to +4 per turn, and we can click on it more to make that even better, but we really don't want to spend all that influence right now, so we're just going to leave it at +4 per turn. They will, as you can see that little bit of white there? They're going to almost double how much they like us currently, just in one turn. Oh, pirates have started appearing. Yep, we have a pirate base on Taurus and a pirate base on Mael. So that's probably going to be bad news for them. The minor factions will be able to handle themselves. Over here on Gatria, that could be a problem. So we could fly over there and try to deal with it, or we could just hang out here. I think we're just going to hang out here. Play it safe. Don't worry about that. Right, and we can pop that signal now, which we are totally going to do. It is a Prowler, Star Wreck. Ooh, we got another Star Wreck, which means we have another ship that we are free to fly around to do whatever we want with. We're going to fly it this way, kind of make our way back slowly, and maybe knock out some pirates on the way, you know? So no more probes right now, so we're just going to go ahead and fly out this way, continue exploring the galaxy. Oh, see, there's one of the other Empire ships. Ships cannot interact with each other on a star lane, so if there's like a pirate on a star lane and you're flying towards it, don't freak out. As long as you're in a star lane, your ships are basically invincible. Things only happen on nodes, so don't worry about it. You are fine. So, research. We need to queue up some research. So what do we want to do? Well, currently we're on our way to getting a lot of industry, so we don't really need a lot of industry right now beyond all of that. What we probably want to do is speed up our science. More science feeds into more science, and if you remember correctly, if we click up here, we can see our current quests. Our current main quest has us needing to build scientific improvements. So we should really get some more scientific improvements to build. Magnetic field generators is one of these improvements, and as you can see, we're going to be researching it more quickly, and it'll be another pip on our way to getting these rewards as well. So we're going to go ahead and get that in the queue. It's going to take us 4 turns. That is a-okay. Oh, looks like New Holm finished that Xeno industrial infrastructure. Yes, indeed it did. And now we're going to start colonizing this stuff. Oh, you can see we have a pop now in the red, which is going to hurt us very little. 0.4 from overpopulation. It's really not a huge penalty, the first one. Second one, third ones are a little more, but generally speaking, most of the time, it's not going to be a problem, and having more pop means you're getting more Fidzi from that planet, so, you know, overall it's a good thing. Plus, there's not really a way to slow down population growth, except by just completely neglecting food, and you don't want food to go into the negative, because then you will in fact start to lose population. They will just up and leave. So, by the way, what does system approval do? Well, there's different levels of approval: neutral, happy, ecstatic, and then below that there's like unhappy, and then like rebelling, and eventually if it's too negative, really bad stuff will start to happen. Like they will actually actively start to rebel. Don't do that. But otherwise, the only benefits to having it above neutral is extra percentage of food and influence generation on that system. If a particular system isn't made to be producing a lot of food or influence, it's not super important that you have it above neutral. However, this, your empire approval, is affected by your average happiness throughout your empire and will affect your dust and science. So in sort of a bigger picture sort of a thing, this can be more important than it initially appears. But for the most part, you're fine as long as it's neutral or higher. Don't worry about it too much, especially not at the start. So colonization is still happening. We're doing things a little bit faster now, which is nice. Still taking a little longer than we would like, but I'm not too worried. I'm not too concerned. So we're now around this pirate system. You notice these little arrows. What does that mean? Well, it means that just by being in orbit of this system, we are sieging it, which means we're going to be taking away manpower from these pirates every single turn. Now, this works on other empires as well. If you are at war with them and decide to click on this guard, you will start to blockade the system. This will hurt their trade routes. More about that later. But more importantly, you'll start to siege them. Now they will lose manpower. Now, obviously, they're losing 2 manpower per turn out of 300. So it's going to have minimal effect on them at this point. There are certain modules that can affect how much, sieging does to a system. And then, in addition, the more ships you have and the more powerful they are, the more that sieging is going to do for you. But we're not actually sieging them. We're just kind of passing through. So we're just going to continue moving on. This ship is very slow. 4 movement points, so it's going to take us forever to get back, and that's fine. We don't really need it for anything specifically, so I'm not going to freak out about it or anything. This is a very long star lane. Look at this. Finally, another system. Jungle, tiny steps planet with high gravity, and a huge temperate gas giant. And we've got a couple of curiosities here that we can pop, just to see what they are. I'm purely curious. Transfine and titanium. Yes, and that gets us some more titanium as well, which is another reason why it can be helpful to pop curiosity or to pop curiosities, even if you're not planning on getting that system. It can be quite worth it. So we're going to queue you up to move that way. You see that? I see that. You know what that is? That is Hisho, and that's probably their homeworld. So yeah, so their homeworld is almost certainly there, which is why they're colonizing here. I guess they didn't feel like that was worth it. That's fine. Let's see here. So we're gonna skip your turn for now and click on next turn. Go ahead and get everyone moving, and you. Let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and send a probe down this star lane and go ahead and fly up this one. You can see they're exploring as well. That's totally normal. See, this is their home world. We discovered it, and there it is. They also own this system. See, this is why AI players are going to have a lot more points than you, is because they expand very quickly at the start of the game. So you can see this is why they're so far ahead of me. Plus, they're just doing really well. Wow. They could be a problem for us then. We might want to nip that in the bud. So for example, we're starting to find a lot of star systems. Now it's less important for me to really get super specific on what's here. I can just kind of take a quick cursory glance and see if there's anything. Okay, that's an interesting system. And then you also have your home system here. It's going to have a unique planet, Uchi, because that's where they start. It's really not that great of a system though. We've explored 20% of the galaxy. Still a long ways to go, like the game said. So, yeah, is what it is. And with that, we're going to get a new tech, PEV accelerators. So we're going to be taking advantage of that before too terribly long here. Somebody else controls at least 4 star systems in the same constellation. Oh my gosh. Oh, goodness me. Alright, so they're advancing very quickly. So this could be a problem, man. We're going to have to deal with this. I was trying to kind of take it slow and chill, because I even lowered the difficulty so we could take it slow and chill, but apparently, Hisho are not going to be having any of that, so we might have to get a little aggressive with them. which is fine. So, by the way, this popped up. This is the latest political survey. There are elections every once in a while, and these are important. These will affect what laws are available, the strength of laws and such, which is how much effect they actually have. And all of this is influenced by a number of things. What your leading political parties are and what sort of actions you've taken since the last election. We've done a lot of scientific stuff since the last election. So it's mostly that. But we'll just have to see what happens on election day. We'll cover that more once the election actually starts. So Pisces, we've got a system over here. They're also grabbing this one. Oh my goodness. You are busy, aren't you? That's crazy. They are expanding super fast. Which is, you know, not great for us. Not gonna lie. We're probably gonna want to get a standing military up here soon, which is something I did not expect to be saying this early on. But yeah, I mean, this is sort of unexpected. I'm not gonna lie. So when it comes to building up a military, there's a couple of techs that are going to be really important for you. The first one, well, I say the first one, I'll get to that in a second, but the one that's going to be absolutely necessary is this one, efficient shielding, because it gets you your 2 hulls you're going to use for the majority of combat in the early game. Ignore this, behemoths, we don't have that tech yet. This is just an add-on for behemoths once we have them. But particularly this one, the Arrow class attacker hull, is going to be sort of your bread and butter for your first, like, 30, 40, maybe even 50 turns of game when it comes to combat. That's going to be super important. But what else is important is being able to build ships that aren't crap right when they leave the hangar. In order for them not to be crap, we're going to need some text from the military tree. It's funny how the hulls come from this tree, but you don't actually get any ship hulls from this tree. It's interesting. But we're going to want some stuff. Particularly, we're going to want this, ubiquitous surveillance. Why? Because it gets us this improvement, big data shipyards, which gives us a 40 initial experience points on all ships that we build, which is amazing. It's like they come out more experienced, which is great. But there's another reason. This. It's going to get us all of this tech. See all of that? That's going to make our ships way better. So queuing that's going to be really important. Now, do we want that to be the next tech we're going to get? Possibly. Possibly or even probably. Actually, we're going to get this. We're going to get this because it's going to give us extra approval empire-wide and finish that 3rd pip and allow us to see uncommon curiosities, get us Hyperium engines, a bunch of helpful stuff. But then we're going to go with this and then with this. We're going to get a bit of a queue going. And I'll explain sort of why as we continue to play. Pilgrims are now cordial with us. That's excellent. So if we go to that screen, they are now giving us 9 dust, 2 manpower, and 10.5 science every single turn, just for being friends with them. Isn't that awesome? That's fantastic. So we're that much closer to being able to befriend them and sort of incorporate them into our empire, which is great. I'm going to go and praise them as well. Just so we can sort of get the ball rolling on befriending them. We really want to grab these 2 minor empires before they do, because they do not need to expand any more than they already are. It's actually kind of terrifying how quickly they are expanding. Like, I did not expect this to happen this early on. So that's kind of a thing. Oh, by the way, you can do diplomatic stuff with pirates if you click on them. And there's some stuff you can do here that's kind of interesting. You can support them to make their next fleet stronger. You can sabotage them to make their next fleet weaker. And you can also spend dust to buy a pirate mark and put a contract on another empire. We're going to go ahead and do that because we want to kind of hurt them a little bit, and we don't have a fleet of our own to do that. So we just marked Ceres here. So pirates are going to kind of go out of their way to hurt this system if they can, with all their current fleets for the next 15 turns. Now, they can, with dust, buy off this mark and make it go away, but that's still gonna, hinder them a bit. So we're gonna go ahead and do that in the hopes that it's going to hopefully stymie their progression a little bit. Oh, we just met the Lumeris, and they're not that green color. Someone else did that dust thing earlier. That's interesting. Okay, but the Lumeris, we just met them over here. That's interesting. Yeah, they got a little bit of pressure on us too. That's okay. Okay, so it's taken us enough turns to get the resources we need that our Argosy has actually charged up its free colonization. It's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, it's also free, so our next colonization is going to be even cheaper. So we're not going to cry about it. Instead, we're going to grab this planet so we can start getting even more titanium and Hyperium every turn. It's another Boreal planet, so the same little cinematic here that we got last time. And this system is a nice, juicy 5-planet system. I was going to talk about this earlier, but I kind of got sidetracked. Generally speaking, you want to grab systems that have more planets just because they generally have more potential. That's not always true. There are some systems that are going to have 2 or 3 planets that are still worth grabbing, either because of their strategic position or because of resources on those planets, etc. But for example, if you come across a system that's 1 or 2 planets and it's not very good, but it has a resource you really want, consider not colonizing it, because you might still be able to take advantage of those resources with a mining behemoth later on. We'll talk about that. But now we have another system, Regulus. We are going to call this West Home, because it's kind of galactic west from our home system, and it's a cool sounding name. Plus, it helps me remember where it is, which I kind of like. And we're going to go ahead and get it started. We're going to start it out very similarly. Get a drone networks going. Oh, you might have noticed this little wrench icon. Each planet can have a specialization. You unlock specializations on the tech tree with techs. See, I got one here, exoscience stations. You'll get more. And they usually what they do is they get you something, and then they get you an additional something if that planet meets certain criteria. +1 science per pop, and an additional +1 science per pop if it's a cold planet, which it is. Not really worth getting this right away. It's 3 turns to build it. It's only going to give me 2 science. So we're going to wait on that. We're going to get the drone networks up and running firstly. Ooh, portals. We're going to talk about those here in just a sec. Those are super cool, and you'll see why. Get this going, and this, well, we want to get this first. We're going to get that, and then this. So you are 3 as opposed to 1. We might want to get you first, huh? We can move people over there. Yeah, we just kind of pop this for that. Sorry, I'm not really explaining what I'm doing, and I should be. So I'm getting this tech, Plasma Metallurgy, so I can start getting Hyperium, right? Because we have Hyperium here, but you can see how it's kind of dull, see, as opposed to the Titanium. We're getting this. We're not getting this. Missing technology. We want that tech. So I just got that into the queue there, so we can start getting Hyperium from this planet. And then we're going to colonize this planet because it has better FIDSI for what I'm looking for, right? A little less science, but better in every other aspect. Industry and food especially, which is more important for growing a system initially. So we're going to go ahead and grab this planet, move our population over there. Then we're going to build this. And yeah, we're just going to kind of get it snowballing, you know, when it comes to industry. So our Argosy is done colonizing, which is great. We are now cordial with the Yusho as well, which means we're going to be getting some resources from them. So even just becoming friends with them is great because it means that they're literally just going to be handing us resources. We're going to go ahead and praise them again, which is going to go ahead and get us, you know, a bonus of how much they're going to like us every single turn. Oh, new home. Finished colonizing the Savannah planet, which is awesome. So this Savannah planet has less food and less science, but it's better in industry and dust. And we want industry right now because we want to be building stuff faster. So we're actually going to move our population over to this planet, just temporarily, to get the ball rolling so that we can, again, kind of snowball our industry here. So we can particularly finish our filter barges sooner rather than later, because later on it has very little use, and early on it has a ton of use. We may not even need it, if I'm being perfectly honest. In a few turns, we're going to reevaluate whether or not it's really worth building for our empire anymore, because it may not be. We'll see. We'll see. It's really helpful early on, but you get to a certain point where it's like, meh. Okay, they're welcoming now. That means that they're a little less cautious about us. That probably has to do with how much more powerful they are than us right now. Also, you might notice that there's less of a score difference now. That's because I just got another colony, and that's going to be changing again. You're going to see the score changing here pretty soon. This is pretty commonly how it goes. It looks like they have an outpost, Lumeris, right here. level 2 signal. We're going to pop that. It is 20 super spuds. All right, that's another luxury resource. We got some banked now, which is pretty nice. So we should probably talk about luxury resources. So you kind of know strategic resources are used for stuff, right? They're used for certain improvements on systems. They're used for specialized equipment on ships that you unlock in the tech tree. Well, kind of like strategic resources in any other 4X strategy game. They're strategic, right? They're used for strategic purposes. Luxury goods are more for civilian use. Having them on a planet will improve the civilians' effectiveness at certain things. Dark glitter, it's nice for science and industry, right? There's some other stuff, like there's certain kinds of plants and stuff that'll make people happier or more high, or kind of the same thing a lot of the time. But in addition to that, you'll start to bank these resources. And as you do, you can actually use them to develop your systems. System development is basically making your systems better. You see, our system level is 1. Settlements across the system are functional but isolated. They're very basic. We can turn these into more functional things like cities by advancing the system level. How do we do that? Well, if you go into the tech tree, on the right tech tree, here, economy and trade, you'll notice these. These are some of the most important things in the game. System development. When you unlock this ring, you'll get the next level of potential system development. Starts at basic, right? It's level 2. Then it goes to advanced, level 3, and then it goes to endless, which is level 4. What does that mean? Well, when I get one more tech from this ring, I'll be able to develop my systems. See, with a level 2 upgrade. This is going to get us a spaceport, which is going to allow us to move population from system to system. And it's also going to get us some bonuses. The kinds of bonuses it's going to get us is going to depend on what kind of resources we dedicate to that level of system development. That sounds complicated, it's actually not. And once we get that ring of tech, I will go more into what that means. But basically, luxury resources are things you're going to lock into sort of dedicated spending to better a system in some way or another. That's kind of the layman's explanation of what's going to be happening with those. So that's why they're so important. Okay, we got this, which is great. We can now colonize snow planets, and everyone in our whole empire is a lot happier. Ecstatic, in fact. We can now build Hyperium engines and see uncommon curiosities, of which there is one, and it's a subterranean, which is pretty good. Is this going to affect? Yeah, it is. Okay, we should probably build another fairing, another scout ship. Maybe not. Let me take a look here. No, not a whole lot left to explore there. We want to send one off that way, though. I think we are going to cancel filter barges for now. We might come back to it. We might. Probably not. We're at the point in the game where we're now getting enough Hyperium and Titanium that I don't think we're going to need it, and 16 dust a turn dedicated to getting some, not really necessary right now. However, we have the tech. It's there if we become desperate for it, so not the end of the world. Okay, so we're busy colonizing there. We're going to be getting public-private partnerships, which is going to be a lot of extra science. And that's really going to get the ball rolling for us, which is super important. We're going to go ahead and queue up. See, another thing. With scout ships, right, with probe launchers, you can explore curiosities, but you can also put them in the production queue and do it from there. You don't have to have a ship to send expeditions. So, and they're usually done pretty quick. See, 100 industry. For me, that's a turn's worth of industry, which is not that bad. So we're going to go ahead and get them in the queue as well, because we want to know what they are. And when we know what they are, we can start taking advantage of them. Ah, the Lumeris homeworld. We have discovered it. They're pretty close to the Hiso homeworld, which is really interesting. So that's a thing. That is a thing. We're going to send some probes out as well. See what we can see in that sort of area of space. They have blue cap mold in their system. That's another luxury resource. Let's see here. Everything looks good right now. Oops, that sound means that something special is going to happen. Ah, side quest. So this is a side quest talking about the Academy. This kind of advances the storyline with the Academy. This was added in an update, I believe. And basically it's saying we've met someone from the academy. They're kind of mysterious. They're explaining to us there's a bunch of stuff out there in the galaxy and that we should take advantage of it before we lose the ability to. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can't select mapping because we need a unique constellation. So what we can do is we can either search or go for information. Personally, I love the improvement that searching gets you. It gets you scavenged ram scoop, which 3 movement points, same as the standard engine, but plus 25% distance traveled per movement point. Those stack. They're pretty wonderful, particularly for scout ships. And we only need to discover 4 systems outside of our constellation to complete this, so we're going to go ahead and pick that. Let's see these unclaimed places that your hero spoke of. Oh, we've discovered a couple of other special nodes. A collapsing star over here. It looks like the Lumeris will eventually grab that for extra influence. And our hero leveled up to level 3. We're going to get another level of Resource Scrounger, which is going to get us a full Titanium and Hyperium every single turn, which is awesome. If you want to know how much of each resource you're getting each turn, you can hover over it. We're getting 3 Titanium and 1 Hyperium every single turn. That's going to go up to 3 and 3 here pretty soon, in 1 turn actually. So we're going to go ahead and fly you this way and explore more of this arm of the galaxy. Ah, here's your other system, Placidius. Or Placidus? Placidus? Not actually sure how you say that. That sounds like a real star system. A lot of the names actually are pulled from real things, so that's pretty cool. Like Ceres, for example, and Pisces, which is pretty cool. Not that the actual generated star systems in the game are going to resemble the real thing whatsoever, but it's just cool that they kind of done that. Words. They kind of did that. All right, so we're on turn 20. It looks like we're doing an average of 10 turns per video, which is not the rate I want to continue doing. Don't worry, we are going to speed up. I've almost finished explaining pretty much all the basics. We haven't gotten into combat yet. That's going to be fun. But that's the second video done in this kind of tutorial series. So I will see you guys again in the next video, and we will explore more of the galaxy and hopefully catch up with all the other AI players. We are catching up. Normally it doesn't take this long. I'm not going to make any excuses. This is totally on me. Some of it might have to do with that I'm not playing the way I normally would so that I can have a chance to explain more. But again, no excuses. We're going to get our game on next video. We're going to do this. We're going to make it happen. So until next time, folks, I will see you next video. See ya.